School's out, blame corona, but I still got some science I could show ya. No class, no school, that's cool. Throw the class on the YouTube. Even if they shut the school down, I'll get that knowledge anyway somehow. Real scholars won't stop for corona. Tune in for that science takeover.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Mrs. Finney's science class. Shout out to the HB Warriors, to all of our subscribers. We're now at 169 subscribers. Our class is huge. And shout out to all of our visitors. Thank you for tuning in from my house to your house. Let's learn science. Today we're in lesson 9 and our section is section 6. We're talking about using Punnett squares. Learning objective for today: I can use a Punnett square to show the potential allele combination of offspring. Potential allele combination. The potential. Okay, so our essential question: how can you use these patterns to predict traits of any male and female's potential future offspring? Wow, how cool is that? So let's take a look here. Mendel observed that offspring inherited certain traits in a predictable pattern. And so the question for today: how can you use these patterns to predict traits of any male and female's potential future offspring? A Punnett square is a diagram that shows the potential allele combinations an offspring could inherit from its parents. Like all models, a Punnett square can both explain past observations and predict future observations. It explains the pattern of inheritance in terms of cause and effect that Mendel observed in his pea plants and can be used to predict the probability of offspring inheriting certain alleles from their parents. The only thing that is necessary to use a Punnett square is to know each parent's alleles for a particular gene. Then you can predict which alleles the offspring can inherit. You can also predict an offspring's traits based on the alleles. Figure 6 is an example of a Punnett square. In this example, both parents have one dominant allele and one recessive allele of a gene, represented by dominant D and recessive D. One parent's alleles are written at the top of the square and the other parent's alleles on the side. Each of the 4 boxes shows one of the 4 possible ways the parent's alleles can combine. For example, one possible combination is for the offspring to inherit one dominant allele from each parent. There is 1/4 chance that the offspring will inherit this combination and end up with dominant D alleles. Inheriting dominant D means this offspring will express the dominant trait. Let's look at what we're talking about before we get too carried away. All right, so here we have the image. Parent 1 alleles right here. Okay, parent 1 has a recessive allele and a dominant allele. Okay, dominant's indicated with green, recessive is indicated with purple. Okay, and parent 2 has a dominant allele as well and a recessive allele. So each of these boxes represent a quarter. Okay, 25% chance. And so here, when we put these two together, have a 1/4 chance of this combination. Okay, 1/4 chance of this combination, 1/4 chance of this combination, and 1/4 chance of this combination. Now, here we can see, okay, this will give a dominant trait, 2 dominant alleles. A dominant allele and a recessive allele will still give a dominant trait, and we know 2 recessive alleles will give a recessive trait. All right, so that wraps up what we need to see there. Let's get back over here. Okay, there are 3 other possible combinations outside of the one we just mentioned here. 2 dominant alleles, right? This does not mean that the parents will have 4 offspring or that each offspring will have a different combination. Each offspring has an equal chance of inheriting one of these combinations. You cannot know for sure what an offspring will inherit, but by using a Punnett square, you can predict the chance. All right, let's take a look at our video to talk about Punnett square basics. Let's make sure we get this Punnett square mastered. All right, let's take a look.
Thanks for stopping by. Today we're talking about the basics of Punnett squares. Punnett squares measure the probability or likelihood of a genetic outcome based on a specific genetic cross. It doesn't tell you what will be, only what could be. For the simplest of Punnett squares, you'll cross 2 genotypes. These parent genotypes will be for the same gene but may or may not contain different alleles. Let's look at an example of a genetic cross for eye color. Green eyes being dominant and blue eyes being recessive. And we'll use big G for the maternal genotype and little g for the paternal. So this is our cross. The mother has green eyes and the father has blue eyes. And we want to see the probability that their offspring will have either green or blue eyes. For this cross, we'll draw a square split into 4 quarters, like a simple 4-panel window. This is the Punnett square. One of the parental genotypes will go on top and the other will go on the side. It doesn't matter which genotype goes where, and the order of the letters really doesn't matter, but we conventionally write the dominant allele first, if there is a dominant allele. So your setup should look like this. Then you simply carry the letters through to their respective quadrants and match them up, like so. All right, each quadrant will represent a 25% chance that that genotype will result in the offspring. So in this case, we have only 2 possible genotypes, big G, and little g, and each genotype has a 50% chance of showing up in the offspring. Similarly, you have 2 possible phenotypes, green eyes and blue eyes, with a 50% chance of each. Let's look at another example. We'll cross 2 genes that are heterozygous for eye color in this example. So big G crossed with big G. These colors are just for illustration purposes. So we again will draw our Punnett square and put 1 gene on top and the other down the side, and then carry the letters through to their respective quadrants and analyze the results. So this cross results in a 1:2:1 genotype ratio, with 25% homozygous dominant, or big G, 50% heterozygous, or big G, and 25% homozygous recessive, or little g. The phenotypic ratio would be a 3:1 ratio, with 75% green eyes and 25% blue eyes. Okay, hopefully that helps you understand simple Punnett squares a little better.
All right, now that we have our Punnett square basics down, let's check for understanding. What do you know? I know you know what's going on. I know you do. Why? Because you're a warrior, and you are warrior strong. And you know what? That's enough right there. Okay, let's look at this. Check for understanding. A mother has 2 recessive alleles, and a father has 1 dominant allele and 1 recessive allele. Use a Punnett square to determine which of the following is true about its offspring. Oh, buddy. All right, so if you were to create a Punnett square, if you place the mother here across the top, you would have a recessive allele and a recessive. If you place the father along the side, you would have a dominant and a recessive, right? So that would be 1/4 chance dominant recessive, 1/4 chance dominant recessive, right? And then below you would have 1/4 chance, where's the father here? Recessive, and then another 1/4 chance of recessive. All right, so let's see what's going on. What does that actually mean? There is a 1/8 chance that the dominant allele is expressed. Expressed means you actually see it. What do you think? 1/8 chance. There's a 1/4 chance that the dominant allele is expressed. Just think about it. Think about the combo we just talked about. Lowercase d with a capital D. Lowercase d with a capital D again. Okay? And then lowercase d with another lowercase d. And then lowercase d with another lowercase d. What do we think? There is a half chance that the recessive allele is expressed. There's a half chance that the dominant allele is expressed. There's a 1/4 chance that the recessive allele is expressed. There's a 1/8 chance that the recessive allele is expressed. Two choices. Two choices. Let's check this one out. Let's just say, are we there? We definitely know that works. What about the other one? We can get that in there. Half chance recessive alleles expressed, half chance dominant alleles expressed. Definitely our answers. So hopefully those were the two that you selected. Okay? All right, and that's our check for understanding. Let's go into our questions here. Lesson 9, section 6. Make sure you complete this in your notebook. Okay? Says in the Punnett square below, label what goes in each box. Use the words to create your labels. Parent 1 alleles, parent 2 alleles, possible allele combinations of offspring. All right, so here you're getting creative. All right, take a look here. How can we fill this in? Here's an example. Okay, you know, parent 1 alleles. And then you could put parent 2 alleles. And then possible allele combinations of offspring falls in the middle, right? Okay, so jot this down. And make sure you design your chart similarly, right? And again, you can switch this up. You can put parent 1 here, parent 2 there. All right, here we go. Here's one that's filled in for you. Draw an arrow showing where each allele in the possible offspring combinations comes from in this Punnett square. I believe you can do this. Believe this. After all we've learned together. I'm just saying, right? So here's arrows, all right? Just want to know where these alleles came from. So if you draw something similar, perfect. All right, here we go. Number 3, if parent 1 and parent 2 from this Punnett square have 4 children, what is the chance that the first child will inherit the allele combination dominant allele? What about the final child? What is the chance, the first child? And what about the final child? Does it change with the children? 1/4 or 25% for the first child, as well as 1/4 or 25% for the final child. All right, so that possibility, that outcome doesn't change depending on the first child, second child, third child, however many children they decide to have. It does not change. All right, number 4, how can recessive traits be hidden by dominant traits? Take it away. Go ahead. I know you know this. Exactly. Tell somebody, call somebody, text some, email somebody. Let them know this stuff. Let them know what you know, because you know your stuff. I know. Being smart is so cool. Just one dominant allele can mask a recessive allele. So if a person has one of each, the dominant one will determine what trait develops. Bingo, bingo. We're wrapping this up. So we can go back to our essential question. How can you use these patterns to predict traits of any male and female's potential future offspring? Answer. A Punnett square is a diagram that shows the potential allele combinations an offspring can inherit from its parents. A Punnett square can both explain past observations and predict future observations. All right? So that is our wrap up about the basics of the Punnett square. Let's wrap up with our outro for today. I miss you all. Sending you my love. Oh, come on, we get, see? Even in COVID-19, see? We can still, yep, see? Go ahead. All right, let's wrap this up. It's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Oh, it's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay awesome. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.